hello. Just making sure everything's set up. I wanted to try stuff with Medibang's Cloud Comics feature. I wanted to do some cool quick comics. As a treat, since I finished a commission today. Yay! My background color to be gray. B has told me that one of my streams has put her to sleep. Not her. Has put them to sleep. So that's like the greatest compliment I've gotten. Good. I want to help y'all nap. It's like Hades Town. It came true. Hello, hello. Welcome by. Oh, nice. Hello, hello. Nice. I've been drawing all over the place lately. Let's see. Right now I wanted to do some kind of a little bit of horror comic based off of this really cool crypto naturalist episode. The first one basically, where he did a cool monologue about hands coming up out of the ground. Welcome, Mouse. You just gotta be set apart from the herd, huh? It's your legacy. Hope everyone is having fun being on this Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right? Yeah. Alright. Oh no. Where is it? Alright there, mouse. Don't cut yourself on that edge, friend. It's my son's running around like a crazy loon time of that time of day. Oh cool, no school. Nice. Well, the icing is kind of, you know, it's nice that you get to stay in, but after like the second or third day staying in, you kind of just want to get out, leave. You add panel material. It's like a little flat board, and then you have your little cutty tool here, your divide tool, and you just like slash. It's like playing Fruit Ninja, but you create comic panels. And then you can edit all the comic panels using the little comic panel editing tool like this. You can flip them upside down, you can drag them up and down, or you can delete them if you want to do that. Oh, I'm doing pretty well. It's warmed up a bit. Yeah, it's just I feel you. Well, I don't feel you right now, but I used to live in a heavy snow area, so I have that experience, thankfully. I have that experience and the good luck to not be able to live through it that currently. No! No, come back, come back. It just kind of spiraled out of control, literally. Okay. Where is it, friends? Resist that urge. I binged watched the latest like 4 episodes yesterday, and then I binge watched like all of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I was actually watching a lot of stuff. It's pretty great. It made me want to animate. Every single time I watch them, it makes me want to animate. Careful, some people might not want spoilers. Or something. I'm used to getting spoiled for everything, so I'm just kind of blasé about it now. Hello, hello! Jin, we've been hanging out too much. Our music taste is now too similar. One of us is gonna have to go, Jin. And I'm pretty sure you could take me, so just make sure my son is well taken care of. I can't believe you've made me read Zara my Bara with my own two eyes. I say it's like, it's not like I haven't had it as like our Discord, my Discord name or something. I'm pretty sure I have. If it rhymes with Zara, I've probably had it. You're here and you're queer and you have questions for me? For little old me? Alright. Shoot, my friend. I don't know why I put that there. I need text tool. I'm older than you, so that qualifies me. That's all that counts, really. On the inside, I'm around a 60-year-old man. Oh my god! I was actually working on it because I started plotting all my stuff on Trello, and then I'm plotting the detective AU thing. And I'm all like, maybe I should use some of the bad guys from this one over there. And then I'm like, wait, what happened to that thing? And I think I plotted out a fight and the scenes leading up to it. And I'm just like, I feel like doing it and finally finishing it so I can just call it done. Because I think it also shares some of the bad guys with that one, like one offshoot one. Where he's kind of like, we got a brainwashed dice and he's got like a feather cape. Because those two share the same bad guys, I'm pretty sure. I'm not that original, you guys. I make one cast of bad guys. You bet I'm gonna use it for anything I can. Wow. Is the text in boxes usually left aligned? I feel like it is. I'll just center align everything. Why take a chance? I don't know who that is. Alexander Anderson? Double A? Oh, excuse me. This is actually from a separate podcast from the Gal Pals one that we're going to be listening to in a bit. But it's from Crypto Naturalist. And it's basically like, welcome to Night Vale, but a guy with a southern twang says it. And he talks about, he released the transcripts of his show, and I'm just like, oh god, that first monologue in the first episode really, really got me, and I want to do it. Let me see if I can really quickly put it up right now. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Welcome to the Night Mail, California. Like that. I can never forget that one thing. It was just like such a lovely face, and then you see the comic, the really simple comic. It was like a meme comic. Is this it? Here we go. Ah, yes, the Waffle House.
The Waffle House, an invisible companion, possess that urge. Seasoned naturalist will tell you, grabbing those tickle sticks buys you nothing new, folks.
There we go.
If you see your own...
I'm gonna be making a small comic, or at least the rough of a comic, to lay down this part of the show. There we go. Come back, come back. Bam. And of course,
reach down and clasp those familiar looking digits in your own and haul yourself up from beneath the earth the way you'd haul a drowning librarian out of a cistern and back onto dry land. Friends, resist that urge. Seasoned naturalist will tell you, grabbing those tickle sticks buys you nothing but a one-way trip to a dark mirror version of your life. It's a cold, lightless existence in which eons seem to pass while wet, eyeless facsimiles of your loved ones attempt to gaslight you into thinking that there was never any such thing as sunlight, never any such thing as dry, warm comfort sitting in your own home, never any such thing as homes or comfort at all. You'll spend vast, unmeasurable lifetimes in that other place until, driven by some instinct far removed from any part of your half-forgotten past in the daylight world, you'll stoop and drive your fingers into the haunted, fungal surface beneath your feet and touch the other you's fingers and swap places yet again, continuing the cycle, and then fighting to believe that your time in the dark under places was nothing but a twisted, half-remembered dream. So, don't touch those fingers. A quick pro-naturalist tip from me to you. I just chuckled at those fingers and shouted into the soil, "It's still your turn, you forsaken creature! You'll never have a name again!" That did the trick. The fingers seemed to wilt and recede at a pace I can only describe as hopeless. It's always satisfying when years of experience out in the field pay off. One field.
So yeah, that one. Jin, did you move? I now see like more stuff. Amazing. Are you writing Cotton Eye Joe? Yeah, it's like a country hick meets Night Vale. Were you writing Cotton Eye Joe cryptid messages on my chat? That's great. That's exactly what I want. Thank you. You are always lurking. This is true. You are a fantastic lurker. The name of the podcast is Crypto Naturalist. The Crypto Naturalist. I get all my podcasts from Podbean because iTunes wants me to like download iTunes to listen to anything, and I'm just like, no, not today. Don't like that foot. All my settings are out of whack because I had for the past 2 or 3 days I haven't been turning off my computer. I've just been like closing it and then just quickly booting it back up whenever I need it. So it was running slow and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to just like actually turn it off and back on again. So my eraser is back to being small. This is lame. Mud splattered boots. That's because you don't look at legwear to see your future. You are not a fortune teller. You gotta wear some sunglasses. The future's so bright, you're gonna need to wear shades. It's like the song said, like it foretold so long ago. Those rubber boots. I can feel the texture of these rubber boots. Started a bit later. My property isn't normal? Alright, I'll check that up later. My brother listens to a lot of creepypastas on YouTube. I am barely getting past the list of stuff that I want to listen to, like, on Podbean. It's like 85% of the reason I created this. Just so I could, you know, keep on task while doing stuff like this. And also get through the many, many podcasts I want to. And we've already gotten through one. And I think we might finish the... ¿Cómo se llama? The Overkill podcast today, because there's only like a couple episodes. And then I'm impatiently going to wait for the season, the next episode or the next season. I can't remember what exactly they're on. I think the most creepypastas I've read, I don't even know if it counts as creepypastas, is sometimes I love to binge read the articles on SCPs. So you'll just catch me. I think the furthest I've gotten was up to the 2000s. I read all of them. I just kind of, you know, I'm all like, oh, Cain and Abel. You know, the giant lizard that wants to kill everything and hates humanity and can't be killed at all. Not even by that one guy who was basically God, I believe. And the little girl who everyone wanted to kill. My favorite was the tomatoes, the critical joke tomatoes or something. They would launch themselves at the person depending on how bad their joke was. I think those really resonated with me. I think they reached like Mach speed to destroy somebody because they told like a really bad joke. Hell yeah! You know I would totally like grow those tomatoes from the vine and inevitably like bring about my own doom. By telling one of my naturally good jokes. Wow! Wow! see how it is. The betrayal. Is this what Caesar felt? God. Stabbed. In the back. In the Senate. What do you call a city full of monsters? New Jersey? No. I don't know. What? A monstrosity! Nice! New Jersey? Oh man, that almost sounded like Helen's accent. Like, God. I'm still not over Helen from last episodes. She was just like, my daughter loves being on the internet and watching all those Japanese cartoons. Hentais? I died. It's a good thing the mic was off because I was just like... New Jersey. Hentais? Amazing. Incredible. No, I keep hitting my scroll button. Trying to scroll somewhere else. Alright, alright. Oh, thanks for dropping by! Alright, enough of me yammering on and on and on. Time to get back into the freaky world. That's true. Roll on the floor, lounging? Yeah, that seems about right. Where was I? We were in... Oh, dang it. Not Stonehenge. Every single episode on this thing is amazing. Stonehenge, where everyone goes to smoke their weed. Let's see. Supernatural Science Fair.
Okay. Hey, I guess these are like my lesson notes or whatever. Sophie insisted I record these because she's weirdly afraid of me hanging out alone with an adult. But it's just Richard. Besides, I can handle myself. My mom isn't worried at all. She thinks Richard's helping me with a science project.
This lemonade is absolutely delicious. Thank you again, Camille. Your mother made us snacks.
I know. Stepford Bot always powers on when guests are here. But don't worry, her battery will die soon.
You know, Maddie, cynicism is bad for your heart.
Literally or figuratively?
Both.
I'll take my chances. Yo, what are we doing today, anyway? Designing our pointy hats?
Actually, that doesn't come for another week. Can't get ahead of ourselves, Maddie.
Ha ha. Why do you keep calling me Maddie? No one else does that.
Your dad does.
Hardly ever.
Well, that's a shame. You know, Maddie, your father should count himself lucky to have a daughter like you.
Gee, thanks. Aren't you supposed to be teaching me? So what happened to all the witchcraft?
Here.
Diet Coke and Mentos? Seriously? You know the whole science project thing was a cover-up, right?
I know. Doesn't mean we can't have fun with it.
Wow, fun with plastic volcanoes. Thanks, Bill Nye.
Well, if you focus up, we'll start with something basic. Telekinesis. Moving stuff with your mind.
That's basic?
You'll see. Now, I'm going to set this bottle on the ground here and the Mento on the picnic table. Your job is to knock the Mento off the table into the bottle. Got it?
Sort of?
Great.
Wait,
Go.
aren't you gonna, tell me what to do?
Is this really what our schools have done to this generation? Let's get some imagination in here. Imagine it moving.
Wow, this is so helpful.
I'm waiting, Maddie.
Oh my god, this is so stupid.
Maddie.
Richard. Things don't move just because I think about them. If they did, when I was a kid, my mom's grocery cart would have been triple stuffed with Oreos.
Well, why don't you tell me more about what you're thinking?
Okay. Well, I thought about the Mento on my mom's stupid vintage picnic table. And then I imagined the mint falling and the Diet Coke spraying all over the stupid reclaimed barnwood and cliche string lights.
In your body. How did it feel in your body?
What are you, my therapist? I don't know. It was like any other thought. Maybe there was a little tug in my stomach when I really concentrated.
There. See that little tug? That's you drawing on the power in yourself.
Let me guess. I should do that more.
No!
What?
Maddie, energy is finite. Magic or power or whatever you want to believe in, it always comes from somewhere. Someday, maybe, when you're older, you'll be able to store enough of that power inside yourself to do things like this on your own. But for now, you need help.
Help? Like, from you?
No. See those flowers over there?
You mean my mom's gardener's award-winning rose bushes?
Those roses are filled with energy. They spend all day soaking in the sun and gulping down the rainwater. To move this Mento, you're going to have to borrow that power.
I need to borrow power.
Yes.
From a rose bush.
Yes.
I just need to make sure you're hearing yourself right now.
Maddie, do you trust me?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. How could I not?
Good. Then think about the roses.
Wow, you really are into this whole thinking thing.
It's one of my many weaknesses. Maddie, you have to think of yourself like a funnel. You're calling the energy out of the plants and moving it into the Mento. Out of the plants, into the Mento. Are you ready? Close your eyes. Concentrate. Think about the roses. Do you feel anything?
Yes. I can kind of not see, but sense them, I guess. It's like those heat vision goggles. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but it sounds right. Keep going.
I guess it's like a silhouette of them in my brain, or of the outsides of them. You know, lava lamps.
Oh, definitely. I can picture a lava lamp. So I want you to imagine lifting the lamp's lid, driving your arm into the goop, and grabbing at the oozing...
Can we please find a different metaphor?
It's the soul's blood, Maddie. It's not known for being cute.
Okay. I'm doing it. I feel it. And you're right. Jesus, it's like tugging at silly putty.
Let's not bring Jesus into this. What did he ever do to you?
Whatever. Ugh, it's all slimy and... Ugh, I guess now I just... Oh my god!
You did it!
I did it!
I knew you could!
Thank you! I mean, I did do it, right? You didn't, like, knock it in there?
No, I didn't.
Awesome! And... Oh. The flowers died.
Huh? Yeah, they did.
I didn't know they were going to. I mean, they look like they've been drying for weeks.
Well, it's like I said, Madison. Power is finite. It has to come from somewhere.
But what about Aya? She saved me, and it didn't come from anywhere.
Remember Chad at the trial?
Yeah, he was like ancient and gross. You're saying Aya did that?
Part of it, at least. Remember how you felt? Remember how you felt when she possessed you?
Like one of those dogs that kids try to ride.
She was taking something from you. Listen, Maddie, I want you to be wary of her. Of anyone with powers like these. You never know where their strength is coming from.
Oh. Okay. I'm never going back there anyway.
Good.
But does that mean... Should I be afraid of me?
No. No, definitely not. We're different, Maddie. I promise.
Okay. Thanks.
Yum. I'm gonna go get a refill from your lovely mother. Want anything?
No, thanks. Wow. They are really dead. The whole bush is bent to the ground and the petals are sort of crumbling like they've been burned. And there's Diet Coke all over everything. The whole yard's totally ruined. Huh. My mom's gonna murder me. Overkill is written and directed by Leah Hagen. The voice of Madison is me, Christina Gaitan. Good to see you again. Sort of. The voice of Richard is our newest cast member, Graham Rowett, and all sound is by Juan Giordano. For more information on all of our projects, follow Gal Pals Present on Instagram, Twitter, or Tumblr. Thanks!
So, I died at 19, right? It's pretty much the only reason anybody but my mom remembers me. Definitely the only reason Madison ever heard my name. Dying a teenager is peak tragedy. I mean, people practically fetishize it. They talk about how pretty your corpse will be. Like a corpse is anything but a shed skin rotting in the mud. Vicky insists it's a reflection of our culture's obsession with sexualizing innocence or making sex freaks innocent or something like that. I just think it's weird. But being dead is also kind of awesome. For me, at least. Sucky's having a harder time with it. It's kind of dumb because he's 26. And that seems like more than enough adulthood for one dude. Even Vicky can't relate. And Vicky can always relate. She's like a 14 on the empathy scale. But she was working by 12 and dead by 20, so from her perspective, Sucky's adult life stretched on long past when he could reasonably expect it to. Still, she says most ghosts really miss being alive. the feeling of flopping down on the couch, the fabrics give, the plush oomph, feet scabbed from prom shoes, breathing as automatic, instead of this conscious fog I push and pull through the mist. Plus, Sucky only died about a year ago, so I guess it's harder for him. We went to visit him in his mopey place, also known as the Harding Park Playground. I feel like parents would be creeped if they knew about the grown ghost man staring wistfully at their children, but these are also parents who bring their kids to Harding, so they obviously don't have the best sense of danger. Your little bringer of life would never hurt a child. I stood behind Sucky, looking down at his undercut. I don't want to say I'm bad at dealing with emotions, but it's certainly not my strong suit. Vicky, well, she has had an advantage. She spent centuries doing basically nothing, so she learned to sit with shit. She sat down in the grass next to Sucky. I watched blades of grass jut through her ankles and lose themselves in her broad thighs. From behind them, I gave an awkward half wave. Hey. Vicky pressed her head against Sucky's shoulder, which offered no resistance. Their images blurred together, all gesture, no touch. The scale of solidity usually goes like this: real, physical people, then me when I really try, then Vicky on a regular day, and then the other ghosts, depending on how long they've been around or how many fucks they give about their physical form. Today, Sucky was barely visible. He didn't respond to my awkward greeting, didn't even tilt his head to acknowledge Vicky. There was a little girl burying her Barbie alive in the sandbox. Sucky's sigh fogged the air. Babies? Vicky asked. Sucky nodded. Babies. When Sucky was alive, he was a kindergarten teacher and hardcore dad in training. He had 3 little sisters who he insisted on raising himself, to the confusion of his ever-present parents. By the time their 4th kid was born, Sucky was 14 and willingly splitting midnight diaper duty. All he ever wanted was to be a parent. He was even supposed to get married in the fall, but he and his fiancée went hiking and, well... Oh my God! Fall. The girl scampered off to join her friends on the monkey bars, leaving the Barbie with one perfect plastic hand clawing out from the depths of the sandbox. I could kind of understand where Sucky was coming from. I mean, I guess kids are cool when they're 10 and up and can mostly take care of themselves. But I've never actually wanted one of my own. Even when I was little, I hated playing house. I couldn't stand the doting mom role or the coddled daughter. I insisted on being the dog. But I felt bad for him anyway. Must be... Oh, there's like this static in my ear. Do you hear that? Anyway, my stomach had started to feel like a rat king, all knotted and clamoring. I wrung my hands together. It's not that bad, I offered. It sounded an awful lot like a blurt, like rapidly thickening word vomit. Sucky bitched face back at me, his eyes still heavy and half-lidded. I pushed forward. Seriously, I said. There's tons of stuff you can do when you're dead. Stuff you couldn't even do when you were alive. Like what? Sucky said. And I expelled my usual brand of stupidity. Get hit by a car? Yeah. So we did that. It was honestly awesome. At first, staring down the yellow line on Wrangler Road, I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, phasing through stuff is usually a conscious effort, like pushing against a current. But there was no way that a car could fail to move through me, right? Vicky and Sucky lined up behind me, each a few feet back. Sucky was moon gray, half blended into the mist. Vicky was muttering something about the smog. Truthfully, I think some of this environmentalism stuff is just a mask for her bone-deep fear of cars. She once told me the story of when she first saw one. She hid inside a tree for who knows how long. The headlights came refracting through the darkness. The road was slick with rain, turning the pavement half neon, a smear of light and color. I could hear Vicky's whispered prayer, or maybe swear words. It was hard to tell. The car moved forward, and everything blurred. For a moment, the world was yellow, then white, then light outside of you. Then it whooshed away, a roller coaster careening to the end gate. It crashed through me like a wave, sending me stumbling back. I could feel the foreign in me like salt water up my nose. I sputtered. Behind me, Vicky shrieked, ecstatic. Saki just grunted. "Again!" Vicky cried. "Again!" I grinned at her. "But the carbon emissions!" She shook her head at me, her hair sparking up around her face. Her pupils outweighed the white in her eyes. Honestly, we're lucky that ghosts can't do drugs, because I'm sure she'd fall right into that 60s stoner stereotype when she wasn't trying to save me and the rest of the world from our dumbass choices, that is. "Whatever," Seki said. Seeing him sad was like seeing a mascot without their heavy costume head. Just flat out wrong. "Come on," I said. "What do you want to do?" "Nothing," he said. He paused, ducked his head, his whole self just a flicker in the darkness. His voice was heavier than the mist on my shoulders. "Jump off a bridge." And yeah, obviously he was being sarcastic, but you can't think that would stop me. Careless, just like a child. She gives, and you leave spittle in her hands. Whine around a mouthful of food she gave you. Ungrateful. Unweird. Well, you know that old saying, would you jump off a bridge if your friends did? I wouldn't recommend it. You know, don't try this at home or whatever. I wasn't even sure if we could do it. For starters, falling is a lot harder than you'd think. It's not that ghosts are anti-gravity, but we can sort of fly. Just not the way people fly in movies. They make it look so easy, just sticking their arms out and zooming away. For ghosts, it's more like choosing the height you exist from, finding your spot in the mist. Like when you're swimming, you can rise to the top or sink to the bottom, but it doesn't really feel like a free fall. In the sky, you still have to walk, at least if you're in some kind of humanoid shape. There's this one girl who's taken the shape of an emperor penguin, and she does a pretty good approximation of actual flying with her useless little wings. Then there's the issue of the river, which winds its way in and out of the park. I was worried about being flushed out of Harding, away from the protection or patronage or whatever the Mista lady offers. But as usual, Vicky and Saki had no idea what I was talking about, so I figured it'd be fine. We all lined up on the bridge, which was not nearly as creepy as I'd expected. Simple, concrete, steel railings. Probably the only road in Harding without a pothole. "How are we going to do this?" Vicky asked, looking down at the water's churning surface. "High School Musical jump," I said. I clapped my hands as the full weight of my genius hit me. "High School Musical jump!" "Wow, you really are from 2007, Saki said. And I was like, what's wrong with 2007? But Saki had already continued. "Those never work anyway," he said. "No one's ever in the air at the same time." Pointedly, I took a step forward into the air beside the bridge. I guess I was feeling a little cocky because I said, "Look, another thing you can only do when you're dead." On the bridge, Vicky gave me a look that clearly meant cut it out. I shook my head. Saki's stress was pulling me tight, like an instrument string taut and resonant, like a bag of chips squeezed until it pops. It felt like... Well, honestly, it felt like Saki was attacking me. Like If this afterlife wasn't enough for him, it meant it shouldn't be enough for me either. I felt wrong. And I hate feeling wrong. I just wanted Saki to jump off this freaking bridge with me. Out of habit, I tried to grab Saki's hand to pull him forward, a gesture from the life I left behind. He stared down at the point where we did not meet, and he pitched himself off the bridge. He didn't fall. He only stumbled forward, like a child walking upstairs at night, convinced there was one more step. He stared down at his feet. "Fuck," he said. The wind whistled in the hollow of his voice. He stomped his foot. I could see the force in every taut line of it, but his toes only pressed deeper into the mist's cushioning. He did not sink. I moved towards him. "I'm sorry," I said, the gravity of the situation hitting me now as I watched him float. "Aya," Vicky said, a warning, and Saki turned to face me. His eyes were caved in, his face scraped away, an absence rotting from the inside out. His smile lines had receded into his skull. "I'm not mad," he said. "I'm just disappointed." I could feel myself drop a full foot in the air, weighed down by the shame in my stomach. Saki reached down and patted my head. Tender. Paternal. He walked away. Vicky stayed with me and I turned to look at her. The girl who had lived 18 years and been dead so much longer. "It happens," she said, soft, her accent slipping. "People don't always want this. It's not good enough for them." And I realized there was a question in her tone, fear clawing its way out her throat. She wanted to know if I was like Saki. Worse, like the slivers of forgotten selves I'd seen on the night of the hunt. For the first time, I realized how much Vicky had lost, even here, in the land beyond goodbye. How much I could still lose. I looked down at my hand and concentrated. I could see my color start to fill in, the brown darkening like someone had turned my opacity up. I reached over to squeeze her hand. She ducked her head, the relief instinctive. Love. Calm down, Aya. Let's take turns, okay? This is a message for Madison. Richard has a big mouth, a fear of those bigger than him, that penchant for rebellion that the three of you share. But let's be clear. He's full of shit. Don't listen to a word he says. Toodaloo! Huh? The static's gone. What was he saying again?
Overkill is written and directed by me, Leah Hagen. Sound is by Juan Giordano, and the voice of Aya and the Miss Lady is Rebecca Rivera. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast through a season and a half-ish, and also 13 episodes, which, being the spooky number, kind of makes this episode feel special for literally no real reason. If you want to find out more about all of Gal Pals Presents projects, you can check us out on Instagram, Twitter, or Tumblr at Gal Pals Present. We also have a Patreon. Thanks for supporting the show, and hope to see you in 2 weeks for the next episode.
There, it's going.
Don't say it like that.
Like what?
Like your mom's making you do the dishes. It's going.
That's your impression of me?
Yes?
I sound cool.
No, you don't. You sound bored.
cool and bored.
Madison, in the horror movie that is your life, this attitude gets you killed.
What?
Seriously, it's all, ooh, whatever, until stuff gets real and then... dead. You're the girl at the party who goes to the garage to get a beer when everyone knows there's a serial killer on the loose.
You don't really think I'm gonna get killed, do you?
Jeez, Madison, no. You can't die. You haven't even had sex or gotten wasted yet.
I did have half a Bloody Mary at Stacy McMahon's mom's house.
Really? When?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Well, either way, you're too psychic and special to die. Stacy, though. Popular kids are always at risk.
Oh my god. Is this about school again?
No.
Sophie, it's gonna be fine. It's just 8th grade. For real.
Can we talk about something else?
No one's gonna mess with you if we're hanging out.
If we're hanging out.
Oh my god.
Whatever, it's fine.
Whatever? Now who's bored?
Well, you know, school's not even close to starting yet, right? So, whatever.
Whatever.
We should introduce ourselves.
Literally why?
Posterity.
Sophie, no one's going to listen to this.
I might post it on Tumblr.
Okay. Sophie, like 3 people might someday listen to this.
I'll have you know my follower count is in the 3 digits now. Though they never really like my non-fandom posts.
What non-fandom posts? I've never seen you post a selfie.
That's because you don't have a Tumblr.
I look at yours sometimes. Just yours.
Well, I guess I could start posting selfies. People don't really kidnap people from Tumblr.
People are always kidnapping people, trust me.
Yet it doesn't stop you from documenting your every move.
I put my Insta on private.
So only your 300 closest friends can see you drinking boba before school.
Ha ha. Can we just get to the point already? What did you want to play for me?
Oh, right. 1 second.
Not the tape recorder again.
Hey, it's my mom's.
You mean Mags?
They're just trying to help. Harding's a big problem, you know.
Yeah, right. You know Helen went to Chad's court thing? She was wearing a third eye charm.
In her defense, she wears that everywhere now.
Of course she does.
Just listen, okay? Even Trelawney occasionally makes a real prediction. Excerpt from Harding Park recording. Madison, are you okay?
Stop it! Oh my god, Sophie, turn it off! That was a joke, right?
No, it's just... What did you hear?
What did you hear?
Fuzz. A lot more fuzz than normal, but still fuzz. Is that not what it is?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, I get that you're freaked, but the vagueness is not helpful.
It's that thing, it said my name!
For real?
You could try to sound a little less excited.
Yeah, you're right. For real?
Sophie, you need to throw that away. Like, now.
What? There's a whole tape of it. Who knows what else you could hear?
I don't care.
Well, you have to care at least a little bit.
Well, now who's the one getting killed?
What?
You don't go chasing this stuff, Sophie. You leave it be. Okay?
Okay. Wanna watch Steven Universe?
Actually, I kind of have something to show you, too.
Really?
Yeah. It's dumb, but I don't know. I thought maybe you might like it.
Show me.
All right. Close your eyes.
Okay.
No.
Oh my god.
No. You can't touch me or it ruins it.
Ruins what? Because it looked like...
Like Poe Dameron?
Yeah.
That's what I was going for.
Well, wow. I mean, this is a whole new level. You should cosplay.
How would that even work? People are always pressing against each other at those cons. Besides, I'm not really into that stuff.
Well, then why be Poe?
I mean, you said he was the only person hotter than me.
So you became him?
No. I didn't change at all, actually. It's all about perception. Richard taught me. My mom dropped us off at Costco.
How'd you explain that? Another science project?
She didn't even ask. Anyway, we grabbed all the free samples we could.
Well, as you do.
And then he made me be like 10 different people so I could keep grabbing slices of microwave salmon steak.
Wow. Really reminds you that he's homeless.
Yeah, but it's like a choice. You should hear him explain it. Either way, the lady said they'd never been so busy.
But how is it even possible? Doing a glamour, I mean.
I don't know. It's really weird, TBH, to trick your brain. I have to trick mine first. I have to invent this whole new story about myself, and I'm not creative enough to come up with it on my own, so Richard just had me copying the ladies on the front of the supermarket romances. I'd imagine myself with, like, terrible 80s hair, or clown makeup, or balloon tits, and then I'd have to project the image out, pushing it into people's brains like some kind of psychic airdrop. It was exhausting. By the time we were done, I even felt like swooning into the arms of some Fabio knockoff.
I was wrong. You are way hotter than Oscar Isaac.
Shut up.
Can you do it again?
Seriously?
Yes.
Guess so.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Overkill. The part of Madison is Christina Gayton. The part of Sophie is Jordan Cobb. Sound is by me, Juan Giordano, and show running, writing, and direction are done by Leah Hagen. Don't miss our next episode. And Helen is making me replace these stupid batteries and all that. Ugh, I don't know whose name the cake is under, okay, Eric? Did you try mine? No, of course it wouldn't be under Walden's. Jesus! I already got the decorations, the plates, the snacks, and the pizza, and Helen is making me replace these stupid batteries, and all I'm asking is for you to do one thing. Can you, please, for Walden's birthday, will you just do the slightest little bit of work?
So some kid had his birthday party in Harding Park today. It was Spider-Man themed. It's good to know that people are still into the same shit, you know? I mean, I love those movies. At least until they put out the third one. The whole black suit thing was just dumb. At a certain point, a franchise just needs to end, right? You could tell who the birthday boy was because of his Spider-Man shirt. But not much else gave him away. He hated the spotlight. And his mom seemed fine with commandeering it. Her name's Denise. I see her around here a lot doing the mag stuff, and yeah, not sure why a ghost hunter would choose to have a kid's party here. Either she's a serious skeptic, or there's nowhere else that could hold all the randos she invited. There were a lot of people there. Way more adults than you usually see at an 8-year-old's birthday party. You could tell it was one of those mom says I have to invite everyone in class things. Plus, the parents got dragged along. Plus, their extended family and probably their work friends, too. I overheard some of them talking about ballet school, which I guess the kid goes to. Oh, and you'll never guess his name. Walden. For real. There were girls there in frilly dresses whose moms pulled them away every time they tried to climb the jungle gym, bratty kids in tutus squealing for attention, boys bored with the superhero situation, and a girl pretending to web her way up the playset. A mixed group of adults and kids played touch football. The otherworldly residents of Harding wanted in on the fun, too. There's not a lot of kid ghosts here, thank God. Just the two little settlers, the ones whose parents may or may not have eaten them after they died. Naturally, their parents were not there. Seki was absorbing the moment, smiling broadly and cheering for each of the football teams at random. Walden's mom, Denise, was guiding him around the party with her hand on his shoulder, making him say hello to everyone. He was obviously shy. I never saw him look a guest in the eye, and his hands were constantly plucking at the hem of his t-shirt. His mom shot him a sharp look, and Vicky tisked. She was not a big fan of forcing people into uncomfortable situations, or forcing people to do anything at all. One of the adults, probably an aunt or something, threw her arms around Walden and gave him one of those boa constrictor hugs. He looked like he stepped in something, his face twisting, almost guilty. The aunt pulled away and gave him a sloppy kiss on the cheek. He ducked his head and stared at his sneakers. There was one boy that Walden actually talked to. He called him Nix, which, okay, I guess that's how white people name their kids now. Kind of freaky to think these kids weren't born until after I died. Ugh. We're not going to think about that anymore. We're just going to get back to Walden, whose hands trembled when he took the gift that Nix offered him. This time, even though he couldn't quite make eye contact, he kept flicking his gaze back towards Nix. And Nix seemed actually happy to see him, though he was mostly quiet. When Denise pulled Walden away to greet the next guest, he glanced back over his shoulder to look at Nix, and Nix was still staring at him too, his little face all scrunched up and wistful. Vicky squealed and punched me in the shoulder, which essentially meant she thrust her arm through my chest. I laughed because it tickled and because, damn, Vicky and I are a big fan of the gays. The more people that Walden talked to, the less happy he looked. His ears reddened. He hardly opened his lips when he spoke, and there were patches of color rising on his chest above the Spider-Man shirt collar. By the time his mom announced that it was time to blow out the candles, I could tell Walden was having trouble breathing. The kids and the parents and all the extended family crowded around a picnic table, Walden in the center. He tried to lock eyes on his cake, but his mom kept telling him to smile for the pictures, and I could tell he was struggling to keep his face straight. They sang, and there was something writhing near his eyebrows, a little twitch, an emotion crumpling his expression. Before the singers had even reached his name, he was crying, his tears dripping down onto the picnic table. A few people quieted, but most of the kids couldn't even see the birthday boy, it was so crowded. The two pioneer kids were walking intangibly through the cake, pretending they could taste it. Walden stood up, and his mom stepped back from behind him, her face half irritated, half concerned. Weirdly, I felt a little bit bad for her. She seemed like she had a lot going on. Walden rushed past her and into the woods. Naturally, Vicky followed. I told her I'd catch up, curious about what would happen in his absence. What can I say? We love drama. Denise insisted that everyone just enjoy the party and send her husband out to look for their son. Her face was tight, her brow furrowed. She turned to the kid nearest her, Nix. She smiled, forced, and asked if he wanted cake. He nodded, but his face was white. He took his slice of cake, a scoop of vanilla ice cream, without a smile. As he stepped away, the other kids pressed closer, calling out which pieces they wanted. And Nix thought for a second. Then he walked out into the woods. I wanted to cheer. None of the adults even noticed. I closed my eyes and thought about Vicky. I could feel her in the mist, glowing like a peg in a light bright. She was to the left of us. I buzzed above Nix. Go left, I said. He kept walking. I flipped upside down in front of him. Left, I said again. But he just walked through me, which is literally never a pleasant sensation. You lose your breath, which, who thought that was possible when you don't strictly need air? But he perked up, and his head turned in the right direction, which is to say left. He turned left, and as we moved, I called ahead to Vicky. The gay kid is coming! Vicky's head popped out from the trunk of a nearby tree. No freaking way, she squealed. This was like the closest we get to watching TV here. I grinned at her and followed the boy as he found Walden, sitting on the ground on the other side of Vicky's tree. Walden wiped his eyes and looked up. Nix, he said. Such a beautiful name, Vicky sighed. And have I mentioned just how glad I am that we will never, ever have kids? Nix held out the paper plate he was still holding. It was a little worse for wear. Half the frosting had slipped off the cake. The ice cream pulled over Spider-Man's mask. I thought maybe you'd want some food, Nix said. Your mom was going to give away all the good pieces before you even got one. Thanks, Walden said. He smiled, his eyes still watery. When Nix handed him the plate, their fingers skimmed, and Vicky and I cooed audibly. Nix shrugged. It's no big deal. I'm sorry the ice cream melted. Walden shrugged. His head dropped a little towards his lap, like a kid falling asleep in the car. So tired. Nick sat on the ground next to him and handed him a fork. Walden closed his eyes. Is it okay if we don't talk? He said. Nix nodded, then realized Walden couldn't see him. Yes, he said. They sat in silence together, and Vicky looked at me. Her jaw tightened and she kneeled. What are you doing? I asked. She had cupped her hands around the ice cream and was blowing into them like a girl caught in a snowstorm. She looked back at me, trying to freeze it. And of course, I kneeled then too, blowing air alongside her. Walden's nose curled. What's that smell? He said. But Nix just tapped Walden's arm and pointed wordlessly to the plate, his mouth in a perfect O. The ice cream was frozen again. Maybe a little more ice than cream, but still. Whoa, Walden said. Vicky and I grinned. And then, from behind us, Walden's dumb dad came trampling through the stupid woods. Walden, he called. Vicky rolled her eyes. We were walking back to the party with them when something stopped us. It was the mom of the pioneer kid. So close to transparent, I almost walked through her. She was watching her children play from behind a tree. And as pathetic as that was, it wasn't even close to the only thing wrong with her. Her nose twitched, going from Button to Pinocchio in a second flat. Her torso disappeared completely, then faded back into view, like an amber reddening. Oh my God, Vicky said. I've been waiting for this for like 100 years. What? I said. Behind me, the pioneer kids were pretending to jump rope. They were terrible, and the rope kept slicing through their ankles as the living kids swung it. Vicky looked at me. I looked at the pioneer woman, her name lost even to herself. She was crying, and her tears were the only thing solid about her. They were colored like pearls, the hues shifting as you looked at them. Vicky nudged me. She's gonna die. And I was like, What? Because pretty sure we'd all already died. But then it started to happen. The mother, her face froze. Like, not in a literal way. The video I'm watching stopped the buffering. She's trapped in her discretion. Her figure, already almost invisible, flickered like a light and went out. I stumbled back. There was a blank spot in the mist where she had been. A vacuum absence of her almost life. I realized, somehow instinctively, what had happened. Her afterlife was over. Or else maybe it had just begun. Fuck if I knew. And somehow, after everything, that was terrifying. At least with regular death, there's a body that stays, that lingers. Some proof that there had previously been a self there. A person who ate and drank and talked and shat. This pioneer, or colonizer, or imprint of a colonizer, whatever she was dead for real now. The mist oozed forward to fill the gap she'd left behind. And then there was no proof that she'd been there at all. Behind us, her children laughed and floated below rusted monkey bars, reaching uselessly for the metal. Vicky sighed. For someone so miserable, she said. She sure hung on a while. And I just stared.
Overkill is written and directed by Leah Hagen. The voice of Aya is so I should stop talking. Hey! If you don't recognize my voice, that's probably because you don't listen to the credits. My name's Leah Hagen. I'm the writer and director of Overkill, and I am so happy that you downloaded this podcast today. Or, whatever day you downloaded this podcast. For me, it's December 6th, which is Overkill's 1-year anniversary of existing, which is unbelievable. I'm so thankful for everyone who's listened, and I hope that you can support us in any way, whether that means following Gal Pals Present on Instagram, Twitter, or Tumblr, or leaving a 5-star review on iTunes, which really helps us find listeners and is the best free thing you can do.
The next episode of Overkill will be our 2-part season finale. This episode is extra long and extra exciting for us, which means we'll be taking some extra time with it. Expect to hear it on January 17th, 2019. After that, we'll be taking a brief hiatus before Season 3 starts in the spring. We have to rest, Thanks for listening.
Wait, Juan, you didn't introduce yourself.
I don't need to.
You don't think so?
Nah, they know who I am.
Here's the thing about Sophie's mom, Helen. I don't hate her, but I do dislike literally every single thing about her. So when she picked me up for my sleepover with Sophie, I was already in a meh mood. I guess it's cool of her to let me sleep over at all. Sophie tells her mom everything, so she knows we're, well, more than friends, I guess. Not Facebook official, but at least a Snapchat red heart situation. But Helen still lets us hang out all the time, which I guess is cool. Even if I do have to spend the night on the living room couch. Of course, it wouldn't be Helen if she didn't find a way to ruin an otherwise chill situation. I slid the minivan door open, and Helen looked back at me, whistling a little. "Quite a house you've got," she said. I looked at Sophie and rolled my eyes. "Thanks," I said. "Built it myself." I know it's probably in my best interest to be nice to her, but I hate it when people talk about my parents' stupid stuff like it matters. And she is seriously so annoying. Whenever she looks at me, I can tell she's thinking about what happened to me at Harding. She thinks she knows more about it than I do. She doesn't know anything. It's so matronizing. And she's a total fake psychic, just by the way. I heard her on the radio the other day. The radio! I was in an Uber on the way back from school, and the driver had some weird old people station on, and suddenly her stupid voice was scraping away at my ears. The radio hosts were at least a little jokey about her whole local psychic vibe, but they still let her take callers. I hated it, like, so much. And apparently, she might be starting a podcast. Why does everyone think they can make a fucking podcast? In typical mom fashion, she said she had just a couple errands to run before we headed back to their place. It was not just a couple. Sophie and I waited in the car during her trip to the pharmacist, the gas station, and a second-hand store where she grabbed a quick gift for her niece's sister-in-law's baby shower. Sophie and I played Knuckles, which I won, but only because Sophie was too afraid to actually hit me. And then we downloaded Heads Up from the App Store and screamed song lyrics at each other until a guy tapped on the window and asked if we were okay. We both freaked out because he basically popped out of nowhere. Then Helen drove us to Walmart. She parked way in the back of the massive lot, so there was a buffer of empty spaces on either side of her minivan. This was extra annoying because it was raining out. The windows were soaked, and all I could see of the parking lot were the fading orbs of light from each of the individual street lamps. They looked kind of like the weird flashes you see in photos sometimes. The cement glowed under them, a haze of headlights reflected from the street. "All right, ladies," Helen said, looking back at us. "Want to come inside this time? I'll get you each one sweet. One." Sophie and I looked at each other, and I shrugged. I mean, why not, right? None of us had any remotely rain-proof clothes, so we decided to run for it. Helen told us to meet at the self-checkout kiosks, and then she bolted. Sophie looked at me and grinned, her dimples sinking into her rounded cheeks. "Race?" she said. I squeezed her hand, and she let mine go. We both ran out of the car. Sophie was on the side, closer to the store, so she had a head start, but I was way faster. I followed her receding back, my useless sandals kicking through the puddles and soaking my uncovered toes. She whipped her head back, and our noses nearly skimmed. She shrieked right in my face, and I blinked, slowing instinctively. She pulled ahead. I flailed, reaching for her, and got a fistful of her shirt. I tugged. "Ah," she said. "Ha," I said. She skidded to a stop, but kept pulling to the left, so I had to pivot just to hold on. And then I saw something in the dim light of the parking lot. I let go of Sophie. It was just a quick glimpse, but I could tell it was big, like Alaskan bullworm big. It looked kind of like a massive armored fire hose dragging across the parking lot, except it had, it looked like it had legs. I couldn't see where its body started. And then it was gone. "What's wrong?" Sophie asked. I blinked and turned to her. Her curls were flattening rapidly in the rain. I shook my head. "Later," I said. I grabbed her wrist and yanked her into the store, out of breath even before we began to run, my whole ass heart in my throat. Walmart seemed as safe a place as any. At least there were people inside. When we got to the kiosk, Sophie looked at me all worried. Helen was oblivious, as you'd expect, and told us to meet her in the front in 30. She wandered off to examine their wilting produce. I hadn't been in Walmart in ages. My parents are more Whole Foods ordered from Instacart people, but this store was fucking massive, like a single-story mall. From where I stood, I could see a men's, women's, and kids' clothes section, including formal, daily, and sleepwear. Plus what seemed like an acre dedicated to snacks and soda and a chocolate factory worth of candy. Sophie pulled me into the book aisle because it was completely empty. There were a few mega popular young adult books and a whole section of poorly disguised women's erotica. What happened? Sophie asked again, but I shook my head. I wanted to play a game. And, of course, Sophie was like, "Oh, you mean find the worst romance novel title? Because I already did." She pointed at a book called My Christmas Cowboy's Recipe for a Rough and Ready Ride, which featured a sexy Santa and no less than 4 men on horseback. I laughed, but still said no. Hide and seek. The store was perfect for it. We decided the boundaries would be the beauty section on the left and the wall of half-dead goldfish on the right. We had a brief argument about whether we should be allowed to hide in the loading dock. The double doors were open and the soaking wet delivery guy had hustled off towards the bathroom, but we weren't sure how long it would be unlocked. We decided against it. Sophie hid. I saw it. I counted to 10, waited for her footsteps to fade out, and then opened my eyes. She was gone. I kept counting to 20 just so she wouldn't know I was cheating. Then I grabbed my one sweet, a Kit Kat, which I have always insisted is the best candy bar of all time. I walked through the jewelry and accessories towards the toy aisle, which gave me cotton candy-flavored war flashbacks. I twisted the heads of the off-brand dolls all the way around until I had a shelf full of Exorcism Barbie. And then I walked through the baby aisle, which was split perfectly into pink and blue, a desperate attempt to maintain gender for the next generation. I looked inside a crib, only half joking. Sophie was taller than me, but tricky. You just never knew where she'd be. I sped walked past the gun counter and skimmed the hardware section. Then I made it to photo. Stock photos of white families beamed down at me. There was a sign on the 24-hour print counter that said, "Out to lunch." It was quiet. Too quiet. I could hear Sophie breathing. I moved forward and scouted the situation. The counter had 2 entrances, right side and left, which meant it had 2 exits. No matter where I stepped in, she'd have the opportunity to run out the other side. So, I just sighed. "Come out," I said. "It's over." Sophie shot up surprisingly fast. "Not until you tag me," she said. I rolled my eyes and reached for her, but she stepped back, and the 30 inches of formica between us proved to be insurmountable. We stared at each other, all, "This store ain't big enough for the both of us," and then she rushed out the right side, and I scrambled to catch up to her. I chased her through electronics, where all the TVs were playing Despicable Me, surrounding us with dozens of minions in every shape and size. My shitty fucking sandal broke. flopping wildly around my foot, and I slowed to shake it off, leaving it on the concrete floor. Sophie had made it to the frozen food, skidding past the vegan substitutions, and then she stopped. I ran up and tagged her before I realized that she was looking at something. Holy fuck, I said. There was a monster in the frozen food aisle, haloed by the freezer's fluorescent lights. Its top half was a horse, its mane gnarled, a wad of blackish gum caught in the silvery hair. I couldn't see its eyes, not with the cold air clouding out the freezer's open door, but it was nosing at a box of microwavable mac and cheese. Its head shifted and knocked over half a dozen banquet frozen dinners. And then I heard the clatter of its legs against the linoleum. There were at least 24 of them, rigid and curved like yellowing fangs, and they were all tapping anxiously at the ground. Sophie and I could have gone and gotten all the bug killer in that Walmart, and trust me, there was a lot of it. And I'm pretty sure that half millipede would still prove to be invincible. Or maybe it was a half centipede. I've never really known the difference. I wanted to run, but Sophie was still frozen in front of me. Madison, she tittered. And I realized that she actually sounded excited. Which, Jesus, classic Sophie. And she thinks I'm the one who would get killed? I shook my head and grabbed her arm, my fingernails digging into her skin as I jerked her backwards. The thing was undoubtedly creepy. Powerful, too. Working with Richard has helped me to sense that shit, to see the monster shining like it had its own personal Instagram filter. But just standing near it felt like being a pregnant lady next to a microwave. I took a step back, but my remaining sandal slapped loudly against the bottom of my foot. It looked up at us. It had a white diamond on its gray nose. Its eyes were huge and dull, a matte black that failed to reflect light. It stepped forward, and I shoved Sophie behind me. It bent its head. I was even with its wet nose. Could feel its warm, slightly smelly breath blowing over my newly tweezed eyebrows. Then its tongue unfurled, and it licked the side of my head. I closed my eyes. It took me a second to realize it was trying to drink the water that was dripping from my hair. Okay, I thought. I can work with this. The cryptid pulled away. It looked at me, and I realized how prominent its cheekbones were, how little fat clinged to its ribs. It was hungry. I reached carefully into my pocket and pulled out my Kit Kat. My one sweet. The horse thing sniffed at the chocolate bar, still covered in its wrapper, and bit straight into the plastic. Its wet lips pressed against my hand, and instead of being grossed out, I felt kind of amazing. It was like static electricity, like shoving a fork into a plug socket, dropping my hairdryer in the tub. I thought this was maybe how people felt when they did drugs, all jumpy and full. The monster's legs skittered in place. I think it had a fucking sugar high. Its eyes were still dull, but wider, more open. I got the weirdest feeling when I met its gaze, it was like looking at the sun for too long. The world flashed black, and then, just for a second, I saw a face. Smoky eyeshadow. Lip gloss. It was Aya, the freaking inescapable ghost girl. And then the centipede pulled away. The rest of the chocolate between its teeth, the Kit Kat, not even broken into bars. It scrabbled off. I watched its tail swing across the ground towards the loading dock. Sophie's head was still peeking over my shoulder. "What the fuck was that?" she whispered. "I don't know," I said. I closed my eyes. I could feel all this irritation swelling up in my stomach and pressing at my throat. I knew exactly where I could find the fucking answer. And that pissed me off. I told everyone that I didn't care about answers. Obviously, I did. I do. "Sophie," I said, turning around, "do you think your mom would drive us to Harding?"
Overkill is written and directed by me, Leah Hagen. The voice of Madison is Christina Gatton, and Juan Giordano is our sound person. Thank you so much for listening, and if you want to support our show, go back and rewind and listen to the beginning of this episode when I
That ended much quicker than I thought it would. Now I have to wait. I think I've gotten pretty far in this comic too. I'm afraid of turning off the rough layer to see how, like, my lines are for the hands. You tried, and that's all that matters. The one thing I keep remembering is from that really old PBS style show. I don't even know if it was PBS, but I remember it was reading. It was like either before or after Reading Rainbow. What was it called? Between the Lions? And they always had this segment where it's just like cliffhanger, hanging from a cliff. And that's why they call him Cliffhanger. Every single time. It haunts me even now. Making these eyeless people feels like drawing for Welcome to Night Vale again. Part of me is like, maybe I should have made like an actual character for this comic instead of kind of random stand-in. Nah, it's good like that. Those hands may be a bit too tiny. Tiny hands. Pretty sure I gave him the same hair that I give my Wayland Park. Doorknobs. That's one of the things you use in daily life. I should hope so. I can't see most of it. Did you just step on my cat's tail? Prepare to die. Let's see. How to make this floor look as gross and fungal as possible. Just draw shrooms on it. Tiny shrooms. The one thing I see a lot that I really want to do is like people make little fairies and the hat is a mushroom and it looks so cute. Me, what's the thing I dislike drawing a lot of? Hands. Also, me draws like 50,000 hands in this comic. I do love that I don't have to focus about detail, since like making it as gory, as sketchy as possible is the goal. Maybe a hand coming out of the cushions. That's always horrifying, right? these ones aren't as detailed. Gonna cheat here because I kind of just like this thing. I forgot to make that draft layer. I'm pretty sure this is Wayland Park. Or at least how I draw him. Of course I put him in another scary situation. My default to go victim. This is the best person I've drawn, like sitting down. It looks like I actually know what the heck is happening with the angles and stuff. Weird. Make it look like an eye. Oddly enough, one of the things I really like about hands is that the twisty way your wrist moves. It leaves like a little square thing. I love that. I think I gave him jeans over here, but no, he was wearing boots. Can't remember many other mushroom shapes. Kind of wondering if I should put another, like a gray color layer or some other color besides black and white. Cracked nails. I love this dramatic angle because it lets me make the feet really, really tiny. welcome back. I think I may have finished a page. In your absence. Although that second one was pretty quick. I don't know if that even counts. But it makes me feel productive to say that. Don't fret, pet. I think this one's even going quicker. I think this was a pretty quick comic. Practicing what? Ooh, I'm gonna make a copy of this folder before I merge everything together. But like, what part of Arto? Choose one small thing and work at that. Oh snap, I think I can just like select everything in one file. I mean in one folder. And expand that around corners. How about 4? That might be a bit too much, but nice. Although I kind of like the solid squares. I quite like Amedadori has a tutorial on full bodies, like figure sketching, and he does it. You know how there's different types to sketch full bodies, like some people start out with squares and shapes and stuff. He does that one thing where it's like it's the outline of a knee, and bam, you got your thigh and your lower foot, and it's like fairly anatomical accurate that way. He has a video on it. I'd look him up just to start, if you need a starting point. Or you could just get a... Oh wow, that's super bright. You could get, ¿Cómo se llama? One of the websites that basically kind of rotate poses and stuff. And you could do some timed exercises, because then that just doesn't leave you enough time to freak out about anatomy. You're just like, oh crap, you got this thing. And you have 30 seconds to draw it. Oh, sick. I didn't know you could select opacity for like everything in an entire... Oh, I select it and I don't even turn it on. That makes my life easier for fonts. That's because that thing kind of doesn't work. It's not really anatomical accurate and kind of stiff. You're better off looking at pictures like, who's the stock photo provider that saves every single artist ever? They have really, really nice poses. Senshi Stock. There we go. They got their own... I didn't know they had their own website, but they have their own website and it has one of the timed things. But it's also really helpful to look up people figure drawing on like YouTube, because then you can see how they start off with. Like, do they start off with the head? Do they start off with like the main line that the body is made? Yeah, if you're doing chungy guys, you really need to look up chungy stock photos of people with like different varying figures and stuff, because there's folds in there that you won't get any other way. Now I'm wondering if I even need the boxes. Boxes are kind of harsh in my vibe. I forgot to merge this down. Bam. Link dunked. Oh, no, now I definitely need boxes to cover that because those boots are kind of hideous. I'm just realizing this. Oh no, come back. Now what kind of creepy shading should I put on this? That's the question. Brushes do I have? I have a lot of brushes. I should use something I don't really use a lot. That'd be fun. Actually, where's my inking brushes? No, I don't like that. Ooh, this ink brush. I forgot about it. I have no idea how to control it either, but it's fun. No. Money thrown at me should be money thrown at, like, something when you have extra. If you don't have extra, I'd rather you keep it and keep you guys safe and warm and fed. I think this gray might be a bit too... There we go, that's a bit better. What am I doing? Why am I not just selecting these things and making life easier for me? To add black here. You know, whatever works. Whatever works except weird muffins. I saw in one of the boxes of food that we have this like muffin thing, and I'm all like, so you were supposed to just mix water into it and then pop it in the microwave for like 30 seconds, and I did that, and I'm all like, this could be really good or really, really bad. Let's try it. It was mediocre. It came out muffin textured. That came out great. I'm all like, wow, this actually looks delicious. And then I tried it, and I was just like, oh. And it was some kind of that weird muffin thing that it's kind of like this, like muscle milk. It kind of weird protein heavy diet food for people who are, I don't know, doing stuff at the gym or who don't really care about that their chocolate doesn't taste like chocolate. So it was like the coolest cooked but kind of really, really sad muffin. It tasted like a diet muffin. That's what it tasted like, with like little grit to let you know that the protein powder was there or whatever. It was very sad. Yeah. And we were doing a road trip. We basically had this like freezer thing full of drinks, like to-go drinks. And some of them were Ensure, just so, I don't know, we wouldn't die because we didn't have vitamins or whatever. But we also had like these crates of muscle milk, and it was the grossest thing we'd ever eaten. I don't even think we finished it. We left all the muscle milk. I didn't know milk could taste disgusting, and I learned many things during that time. I don't even remember what it tasted like. I just remember that it was horrible and none of us ate it. And we're pretty unpicky when it comes to food. Like, if it's edible and not too, I don't know, pungent. Sometimes even though we'll eat the pungent stuff, but we're pretty good when it comes to just eating a lot, everything, except muscle milk. No one touched the thing. We tried because we were thirsty and we couldn't even finish it. We would probably die of thirst first before we finished it. It seems like a weird Brady Bunch situation right here. I know some people who've hated the taste of milk like that, and I'm all like, honestly, more milk for me. The one thing we can't stand is 2% milk or 3% milk. I don't know, if my milk has a percentage, it better be like 100%, or else I'm rioting. Otherwise, it's just milk with like water tossed in. What's the point? I could have just drank water. Kind of liking this choppy shading. Oh no, come back. See, I can't control this ink brush. I have no idea what factors make it do things. It's a mystery. think I might make the hands white then, just to make them pop out. I'm like that with eggs, because my brother likes his eggs sunny side up, so the yolk is like liquid. And him and my dad eat it, and it looks so delicious. They like slurp up the yolk, they use their bread to sop up the rest, and they eat it and everything. And I look at it and I'm all like, I want so bad. So very bad. And whenever I buck up the courage to, I immediately taste it on my tongue, and like my tongue is like, nope, this thing is liquid and it is yolky, and you're gonna throw this back up right now. Tragic. The tragedy of my life cannot be overstated. Maybe you want a different type of milk though. Like soy milk. Soy milk is great. Or goat's milk. Goat's milk is even greater. Let's put a creepy eye here. In the podcast, it didn't say anything about like the place. It just said the place was without sun, and it was this wet, warm, cold, dark void. But I always pictured it as some kind of like uncanny valley living room. Oh wow, this is actually a pretty chill song. The medium nut. Nut milk? You mean nut milk? Delicious nut milk. I think that took away from the thing. Let's put this back all white. Come on, come on. Work with me, brush. He just sent me a picture of her cat. Technically, that's my cat too now. I think we shared custody a couple streams ago. %79% gray layer. Good enough. 80. 80 is fine. I do like this effect. It's such a nice effect. You're just like, no, I know, I just realized that you won't be able to see the really nice, cute fingernail that I drew below it. See? But I'm not too broken up about it. That's why I'm all like, if I leave out the boxes, since it has the thing, you'll be able to see it. But I don't know. Maybe I could put the boxes as a gray tone as well? No, that looks hideous. Maybe another black tone? I don't want another color in here. A conundrum. Oh crap, I can't. I forgot what gray I was using. There we go. All right. Is everything on top of this layer? Okay, that's why there was weird. My comic panel layer. There we go. His hands came out nice. Suspicious. I still don't know how to control this brush. Strange inky lines. Sometimes it's big, and other times it's like the smallest thing, and I'm like, is it controlled by how fast I pull it? And it'll just splotch immediately, and I'm just like, oh no, I guess not. my thingies. What are you doing, Van? I think he's hungry. He's just sitting there watching me in the next to his bowl. Like, come on, get with it. Baby. Where can I stamp my signature? There we go. I think it might be too big. Oops. Still too big. It's too small now. And I think we'll call it time here. Ah, my knee. What is this song? He wants food, huh? Yeah, alright. I need to get my cat some food. And I think we finished these. That was a fun, quick one. Well, quick-ish. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you Saturday, I think. I've got an upcoming one where it's me doing this, but it's a lyric comic, and it's just me trying to do it as fast as possible with all of you. That should be fun. Alright.